Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari In Jashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Thank you so much, Dravida Prabhu. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Pravikacharya Ashtra Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Pravikacharya Ashtotar Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nastaprai Subhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 19, text 19 to 21. Mam Vachobhihi Samaradya Lokanam Ekam Ishvaram Paratrayam Rinite Yo Abudiman Dvipadashusam Mam Vachobi Samaradya Lokanam Ekamishvaram Padatrayam Vriniteyo Buddhiman Dvipadashusam Mam Vachobi Samaradya Lokanam Ekamishvaram Padatrayam Vriniteyo Buddhiman Dvipadashusam Mam Vachobi Samaradya Lokanam Ekamishvaram Padatrayam Vriniteyo Buddhiman Dvipadashusam.
Mam Vichobi Samaradya Lokanam Ekamishwaram Paratrayam Vriniteyo Buddhiman Dvipadashusam Mam Vachobi Samaradya Padatrayam Vriniteyo Buddhiman Dvipadashusam
Anyone online would like to chant?
Mam Mam Vachobihi Samaradya Lokanam Ekamishvaram Paratrayam Vrinite Yo Uriman Dvipadashisham.
Mam, me, Vachabhihi, by sweet words, Samaradya, after sufficiently pleasing, Lokanam, of all the planets in this universe, Ekam, the one and only, Ishvaram, master controller, Padatrayam, 3 feet, Vinite, is asking for, Yaha, he who, Abudinam, man, not very intelligent, Dvipadashusham, because I can give you an entire island. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I am able to give you an entire island because I am the proprietor of the 3 divisions of the universe. You have come to take something from me and have pleased me by your sweet words, but you are asking only 3 paces of land. Therefore, you are not very intelligent. Purport. According to Vedic understanding, the entire universe is regarded as an ocean of space. In that ocean, there are innumerable planets, and each planet is called a dvipa, or island. When approached by Lord Vamanadeva, Bali Maharaj was actually in possession of all the dvipas, or islands in space. Bali Maharaj was very pleased to see the features of Vamanadeva, and was ready to give him as much land as he could ask. But because Lord Vamanadeva asked only 3 paces of land, Bali Maharaj considered him not very intelligent. Text 20. O small boy, one who approaches me to beg something should not have to ask anything more anywhere. Therefore, if you wish, you may ask from me as much land as will suffice to maintain you according to your needs. Text 21. The personality of Godhead said, O my dear king, even the entirety of whatever there may be within the 3 worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled. Purport. The material world is an illusory energy to deviate the living entities from the path of self-realization. Anyone who is in this material world is extremely anxious to get more and more things for sense gratification. Actually, however, the purpose of life is not sense gratification, but self-realization. Therefore, those who are too addicted to sense gratification are advised to practice the mystic yoga system, or Ashtanga yoga system, consisting of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, and so on. In this way, one can control the senses. The purpose of controlling the senses is to stop one's implication in the cycle of birth and death, as stated by Rishabhadev. Nunam pramata kurite vikrama yadindriya pritaya aprinoti na sadhu manye yata atmanoyam asanapi kleshada asadiha. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds, he has already received a body which, although temporary, is the cause of his misery. Actually, the living entity should not have taken on a material body, but he has been awarded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification, by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after another. Bhagavatam 5.5.4. Thus, according to Rishabhadev, the human beings in this material world are just like madmen, engaged in activities which they should not perform, but which they do perform only for sense gratification. Such activities are not good, because in this way one creates another body for his next life, as punishment for his nefarious activities. And as soon as he gets another material body, he is put into repeated suffering in material existence. Therefore, the Vedic culture or Brahminical culture teaches one how to be satisfied with possessing the minimum necessities in life. To teach this highest culture, Varnashram Dharma is recommended. The aim of the Varnashram divisions, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, is to train one to control the senses and be content with the bare necessities. Here, Lord Vamanadeva, as an ideal brahmachari, refuses Bali Maharaj's offer to give him anything he might want. He says that without contentment, one could not be happy, even if he possessed the property of the entire world or the entire universe. In human society, therefore, the Brahminical culture, Kshatriya culture, and Vaishya culture must be maintained, and people must be taught how to be satisfied with only what they need. In modern civilization, there is no such education. Everyone tries to possess more and more, and everyone is dissatisfied and unhappy. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore establishing various farms, especially in America, to show how to be happy and content with minimum necessities of life and to save time for self-realization, which one can very easily achieve by chanting the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Jnana Timarandasya, Jnananjana Shalakaya, Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam, Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha, Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganar Agunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam, Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishnubhanishtha Devi Pranamami Hari Pri Pancha Kalpatri Bhischa Kripa Sandhya Evacha Patithanam Pavinabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in verse 19 and 20, we see the role of a king is to give anyone who approaches him. In the Mahabharata, Duryodhana, he was unsatisfied with Bhishma Dev's performance. Although Bhishma Dev, he was actually trying his hardest to kill the Pandavas. But Bhishma Dev told Duryodhana, we cannot become victorious over Krishna and Arjuna. They are none other than Nara Narayan Rishis. But Duryodhana, even after giving such advice, he didn't listen. And Duryodhana, he was actually chastising Bhishma Dev, his grandfather. And Bhishma Dev was actually the leader of his whole army. So Bhishma Dev, he pulled out 5 golden arrows and he imbued it with powerful mantras. And he told Duryodhana, hold this for me and give it to me first thing in the morning. I shall kill the Pandavas. And Krishna, within the heart of everyone, understood this. So he told Arjuna, go to Duryodhana's camp. And he said, ask from him 5 arrows. And when Arjuna came to Duryodhana, he is described that after the battle, after the day, they would meet each other and compliment each other. You know, wow, you're very chivalrous, you're very courageous. So there was no enmity between the parties. And when Duryodhana was asked by Arjuna for the 5 arrows, he can understand that there was some mystical thing that happened. And then when Bhishma Dev came to Duryodhana for the 5 arrows, Duryodhana told him that Arjuna took the arrows. And Bhishma Dev, he understood this was Krishna's doing. So even Duryodhana, although he was envious and he hated the Pandavas, since he was approached by Arjuna, he had to give. So this is the position of the king, that he tries to satisfy the person approaching him. Srila Prabhupada, he says, just try to understand how much a king was responsible for the happiness of the citizen. And if the leader is a sinful man and doing all impious activities, then how can you expect the citizens to be at all happy? This is not possible. And then Srila Prabhupada quotes that verse from the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 21. Whatever action is performed by a great man, common men will follow in his footsteps. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Srila Prabhupada says you don't have to educate individual citizens. If they have a good leader, then the citizens automatically become good. So the king or the head of the government should satisfy the citizens if they approach him. In a responsible monarchy, the citizens had no grievances against the government. And even if they did, they could approach the king directly for immediate satisfaction. But in the material world, the modern world, the head of state has become a thief. They take away the citizens' resources and they give anxiety to the citizens. That's why there's so much protests. Even some of our presidents, they were impeached. Srila Prabhupada, he says the head of the state should be perfect. And then the next head of state, selected by the perfect state, should be elected, not the rascal voters. See, qualifications is so important in our movement. One should be qualified or trained to be qualified to take that position. And if the laws are there, for instance, if the government or the king, the president says no meat eating, then naturally we will get rid of slaughterhouses. If he says no intoxication, we'll get rid of these liquor stores, liquor houses. And if he says no illicit sex, then we close all the, or what do they call it, gentlemen's clubs. So Krishna, he comes down to this material world for 3 reasons. The first 2 are to protect the saintly persons, the devotees, and 2, annihilate the atheistic demons. And then 3rd reason is dharma samsthapanarthaya, to establish the real principles of religion. Krishna, when he was here, he installed many great saintly kings to rule. For example, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj. And in the Ramayana, Ravana wasn't fit to rule the city of Lanka. So Lord Ramchandra, he enthroned Vibhishana to rule the citizens. So this is how important the qualities of a leader should have in society. But unfortunately, we don't see this type of government in Kali Yuga. And in text 21, Vamanadeva, he stresses the importance of one should control the senses and not the senses controlling him. When Hanuman went to the golden city of Sri Lanka, he saw the opulence of Lanka. He saw the huge mansions, palaces by Ravana as well as the demons. And there were thousands of women, beautiful women lying here and there, half dressed, intoxicated. And when he saw Ravana only displayed his, not his 10 heads, but 1 head, and instead of 20 arms, his 2 arms. And Hanuman concluded that although Ravana was very powerful and opulent, he was very weak because he was controlled by lust. He says, although he possessed great power, the evil-minded Ravana was a slave to his lusty desires. So this is the qualification as well. One should be trained to control the senses. If the senses are out of control, then naturally the mind is out of control. And you see this with dogs that are not properly trained. In Balboa Park, I see so many dogs walking here and there. And these dogs that are not trained, they sniff anything and everything. And their path is not very straight, it's sporadic, you know. They go here and there, and their whole body just follows the dictations of their nose. So similarly, a man, whatever great qualifications he has, if he's controlled by his senses, then he's no better than a two-legged animal. And Srila Prabhupada, he says there's two types, the Goswamis, those that are the masters of the senses, and then the Godas, the servant of the senses. So society needs proper education, and that proper education is, Srila Prabhupada, he would often quote Chanakya Pandit, that one should see every woman as a mother. I was speaking to a teacher one day at Balboa Park, and she said, what lesson can you give to me from these books? So I told her this, that we should see every woman as a mother. And since she was a mother, she appreciated this. And then she said, wouldn't the world be different if they had this intention? So I told her these books are so important. Even if you read 5 minutes a day, you'll learn so much. So as a teacher, she understood the importance of giving education. She gave a donation, and she gave me an advice also. She said, keep doing what you're doing. So she was encouraging me. So there's two paths that people follow generally. The path of sense gratification, and then the path of self-realization. Sense gratification, it leads one to a very dark place. And we see so many people, they have so many resources at their disposal, but they become victim to alcohol, they fall victim to drugs, they fall victim to the hands of women. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that those who are too addicted to sense gratification, they're advised to practice the yoga system. Why? Just to control the senses. In Kali Yuga, the yoga systems or the yoga process is now a joke. I meet so many people who are either yoga teachers or they're practicing some type of yoga. And when I ask them, are there any restrictions when practicing yoga? They ask, what restrictions? And I tell them, no intoxication, no meat eating, no illicit relations. And then they're very surprised by this. But Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, to practice yoga, one should go to a secluded and sacred place. But yoga centers today, it's just, Srila Prabhupada says, gymnastics. They're not thinking of a sacred place. Maybe they don't mind me sharing this, but Bhakta Nelson, Balaram Prabhu, and Mukunda Charna Prabhu, they were chastised by the owners of Kula Yoga because there was prasadam on the floor and so on. And I was telling Nelson, maybe they should tell them to, maybe you should tell them to tell their students to take showers, because when we get there sometimes it just smells like bad people. So they're complaining that there's prasadam on the floor, but then they don't even take baths when they go to this yoga center. And Rishabhadev, he says, when a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. An animal in the desert is very thirsty and is looking for water, and he sees a mirage in the desert. he chases and chases and chases after this illusory water, and then eventually dies because of the heat, the sun, and thirst. So human beings are like that. They're chasing and chasing after these materialistic goals, and they're not happy with what they have. And on top of that, they forget that whatever they accomplish is temporary. I met a group of very wealthy or successful Japanese businessmen, and two of them were elderly and one was a young man. And then they were kind of laughing at my table, what's so important about meditation, yoga, philosophy. So I asked them, even if you make trillions of dollars, how much can you bring with you in the next life? And two of them, they pulled the other and said, let's go. And then the younger one, he actually stayed. And I told him, you look very intelligent. What are you pursuing in life? So after we had a conversation, I asked him to take a look at the book table. And then he picked up The Science of Self-Realization. I asked him, if I asked you, who are you, how would you answer that? And he just had this blank stare on his face. So this very important question, who am I? Although they're very learned materially, they don't even know how to answer this question. And in the 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj, he exposes the mentality of materialistic thinking. He says that for the materialistic person, money is so dear that one conceives of money as being sweeter than honey. Haribol. Therefore, one who can give up the desire to accumulate money, especially in household life. Thieves, professional servants, or soldiers and merchants try to acquire money even by risking their very dear lives. So people risk their lives to achieve wealth through honest and dishonest means. I can't help but to repeat this story. I asked one person, what do you do for work? And he said, I sell people their happiness. And I said, what do you do? He said, I'm a car salesman. So he knew he was cheating people. And I told him, we had a conversation, and he said, maybe I should look for another career. I told him about karma, how you incur so many bad results from cheating people. Okay. So to train one to control the senses and to be content with the bare necessities. He says that without contentment, one could not be happy, even if he possessed the property of the entire world or the entire universe. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, from the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. And from the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. So in the mode of passion, $1 million is not enough. I got to get 1 billion. And 1 billion is not enough. I got to get 1 trillion. What's more than 1 trillion? Quadrillion. So we see this. Maharaj was telling me that he and Ambarish Prabhu, they were at some fundraising event. And the devotee host said, money can't buy happiness. So Ambarish Prabhu turned to Maharaj and said, those that don't have money hope it's true. And then he said, those that have money know it's true. So, and we see that. Maybe we know someone that have money, but they're not satisfied. They keep buying things more and more and more. They got to upgrade and upgrade. So contentment is a sign of happiness, actually. To be satisfied with what we have and what we are awarded with. Okay? So I'll tell some Sankirtan stories. In book distribution, sometimes the mind plays tricks, Nobody's coming to your table. Nobody's getting books. Pack up and leave. But Krishna, this particular day, he didn't want me to leave just yet. There was a Mataji, her name was Isabel, and she had a shirt that says, "Bring them home now." And I was thinking, bring them back home to Godhead. So I stayed and
You took that, her
Yeah.
sign is the purple.
yeah. So it gave me inspiration. So I stopped her and I said, "What does your shirt mean?" And she was talking about, the whole with Palestine and Israel. Yeah. So I said, "You look like a very intelligent person. Are you a small reader or a big reader?" And she said, "I love books." And I told her that's very refreshing to hear because now people want to numb their minds with social media and this and that. So we had a really nice conversation, and she took Bhagavad Gita, SSR, and then she also took The Journey of Self-Discovery. And I asked her, "Why did you choose these two books?" And she said, "I really wanted to know more about myself. Who am I? What is my spiritual nature?" So I said, "The books choose the readers also." So she smiled. She gave a donation. And then as she was walking away, I invited her to the Krishna lunch. So hopefully she'll come one day. And a few days ago, I also saw this van. It says HOT, H-O-T. Maybe you've seen it around San Diego. Does anyone know what HOT stands for?
Burning with lust.
It stands for Homeless Outreach Team. And I was thinking, everyone in this material world is homeless. We left our real home in the spiritual world with Krishna, and we're wandering here now in this material world, suffering. Although we're suffering, some of us think we're enjoying. So there was a family that consisted of a father, mother, and their 3 children. And the father took a glance at my table as he was passing by, and his eyes caught the Bhagavad Gita, so he made a U-turn. And then he said, "I've read this book many years ago." And before this, I asked him, "Where are you from?" And their family's from Afghanistan. He said, "I read this book many years ago, and I can remember so much knowledge and practical instructions from this Bhagavad Gita." So I asked him, "Maybe you should take one today, and you can revisit that knowledge." And he smiled. He said, "How much are you asking for the books?" I said, "We just humbly ask for a donation. The donation helps us to reprint books." And he really liked this concept. And then while we were speaking, one of his daughters came to the table, and she picked up Coming Back. And I asked her, "Why did you pick up that book?" And she said, "I was always interested in this idea of karma and reincarnation." And she said, "We never hear about this, not in the mosque, church, temple, not even in school." And I told her, "What if it's true?" And she said, "Well, I have a lot to think about." So they took the books, and then as the father was leaving, I said, "Can I share something with you?" Vaisheko Prabhu, he said, the more you show, the higher chance of them getting a book. So I showed him the changing bodies photo illustration. And I said, since you're a father, you're able to see this in your children. And I said, the body changes from a child to youth to an adult, and then eventually the body dwindles, gets old. But the soul is eternal. And when I said this, the man just lit up. He said, see, this is what I've been looking for. And as he was walking away, he just kept looking at the pictures, Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they're Muslim.
Yeah. So there's a second day in which people can dress up like Halloween. It's called Comic-Con. People dress like animation characters or superheroes, whatever. And Sankarshan and Bhakta Matthias, they actually went to Comic-Con. They were distributing books there yesterday. So many people all over the world, they attend this Comic-Con, and they pay hundreds of dollars to enter this convention. I was speaking to some young man. He came all the way from Boston to come to Comic-Con, and then he didn't want to engage in a conversation, and he also didn't want to tell me how much he paid to get in. So tonight, this evening, we're gonna do a Comic-Con Harinam. Those that are listening and are local, we give the people a chance to hear the holy name, for them to get books and invitations to the temple, to our wonderful programs like Krishna Lounge, or our Transcendental Taco Tuesday, or Dravida Prabhu's Bhagavad Gita class, Monday through Friday at 7:15 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, I'm sorry. So it'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll have a nice gathering. We'll be chanting and dancing and giving Srila Prabhupada's literature. And this is the best welfare work for the world. Get them closer to Lord Krishna. Okay, are there any questions or comments?
I just had a quick comment.
Yes, Marge.
You were saying HOT stands for homeless.
There's a mic, Marge.
You were saying that HOT stands for Homeless Outreach Team.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking this is the Sankirtan party.
Mm-hmm.
We're reaching out to these homeless people and saying back home, back to Godhead.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the real HOT,
Yeah.
Homeless Outreach Team. Thank you. Nice class.
Whenever Dvija Mani and I go to Balboa Park and there's no parking, we're waiting for the day when there's a label on the floor, designated Sankirtan devotee. But maybe one day that day will come. Anything else?
On that line, Prabhupada said, the day will come. Like you see those historical markers, there's actually one when you come off the freeway from 405 coming south and you get off the freeway, there's a big rock, and they usually find some rock, something, and there's a bronze plaque. Something happened at that core. I forget what it was. But Prabhupada said that cities will start putting up plaques. On this day, Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan party came to our town for the first time. There'll be historical markers.
Yeah. Every town and village. That's a prediction. Okay. Thank you for your time and attention. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.